to the FOMO Creator Show. I am your host, Making Sang, first name Making, and today we are going to be talking about why interviews at conferences create FOMO. Now, I hope you've had a good week, everybody. It'd be lovely to see if you're here. If you are, do say hello, and I'll promise I'll say hello back. So yes. Today, we are going to be talking about why interviews at conferences create FOMO. And as a conference organizer, in the past, I know how interviews work. Now, I am sure that you have been to a conference and a videographer has come to you and said, "Can you give us a testimonial?" And I've seen it. I've seen it at conferences where people suddenly get a little bit, "Oh gosh, I don't like video. Oh, is that the time? I need the loo. I've got to go." So this is why we can turn things around, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. So why do interviews at conferences work, and how do they generate FOMO then? Well, some of you may have heard me speaking about FOMO, how it bridges the gap between social media and PR. And creating interviews are an incredible way of bringing your audience in. If you are at an event, if you are an event organizer, you want people to know that people are having a good time, people are learning some incredible stuff. And so interviews are a great way of doing just that. Now we've got a few people here today, which is great. Lovely Rosa Horowitz. She is a journalist that's been Pulitzer nominated, in fact. She's tuning in from Connecticut, which is great. Lovely to see you. Do go and follow her hashtag Women to Follow. She interviews some incredible women and she does some incredible events as well. So it's lovely to see you here. We've got the fabulous John Asperian. Oh, I see you Making, and I see you too, John. You're doing some incredible stuff on Threads, and it's lovely to see you there doing your experiments with your scientist coat on, your white lab coat, and letting us know about the latest and greatest in all things digital, not just LinkedIn. So it's great to see you. And in response to interviewing, John said it's something for us to ponder, Gus and Jeremy. Yes, I certainly hope so. And in this broadcast, I'm going to explain why interviews are just so good at creating FOMO. So it's great to see you here. And our fabulous friend of the show is the fabulous Tim Lewis, who is incredible at doing interviews. He's got two incredible shows. One is Oh No, Not Another Live Show, which was generated during the pandemic, but he has a whole wealth of incredible people that he interviews. And he is an absolute magician when it comes to creating fabulous videos. So my end credits at the end of the show is one of his magic creations. So lovely to see you, Tim. Great to see you. He says, "Hi everyone, sorry late. LinkedIn page didn't update automatically." Oh, that's a bit of a shame. And yes, Tim is saying hello to John Asperian there, who is Mr. Threads at the moment, currently. Lots of interactions happening here. Rose again has just commented, and she said hello. To introduce myself, I'm Rose Horowitz, 31 on Twitter and everywhere else. So do go and follow her. Search on the hashtag Women to Follow, and you'll see these incredible women that she has interviewed and done some events with as well. So it's great to see everybody here. Rose is saying hello to Tim. It's great to see all these comments from LinkedIn, and John reacting to Tim. Tim Lewis, 2 weeks as a Threads guru. I'm sure we're going to be seeing that $99 online course from you, John, in time about how to use Threads effectively. Right? And my brother is here as well. Lovely to see you, Mark. So, Mark, if you are a cyclist, and I'm not, I'm allergic to exercise. But if you're like my brother who absolutely loves cycling, he has an incredible website that can deal with your cycling mishaps, so punctures and all sorts of things. So do go and check him out. Yeah, so there's a lot of love in the room today on LinkedIn. Tim saying John Espirian is the kingdom of the blind men. The man with the stick is king. Okay, something happening between the two of them there. And Tim is saying hello to Rose. So lots of great activities going on. Let's get back to the FOMO Creator Show, because you're all here today to learn about why interviews work at generating FOMO, right? You can create FOMO for absolutely anything. So in the last 2 weeks, I've been talking about how FOMO can help you for in-person conferences. Last week, I talked about how FOMO can help you with online conferences and events. And FOMO can also help you with charity fundraising as well. So for the past 2-3 years, I've actually been delivering training to an organization, a non-profit organization, on how they can create FOMO with their fundraising activities. And interviews is actually one of the things that we can do as well. So if I just bring up this screenshot here, this fabulous woman, Dr. Zareen Ruhi, she ran an event called Red Rebel Day, and she runs a non-profit called it's to highlight period poverty, basically. So there are women around the world who aren't able to afford, sanitary products. And she, when I interviewed her in the lead up to Red Rebel Day, she shared some incredible, harrowing stories, actually, of how some women, had to make do with all sorts of things that were very unhygienic. And so what we did was, in the lead up to Red Rebel Day, I interviewed her, and then we chopped it up into different chapters. So there was 8 chapters in all. And what we did was, through a 2-week campaign, we actually released each chapter on LinkedIn, because that's her biggest performing platform, to share her story, how she was inspired to create her nonprofit. And it was down to a personal tragedy. But from the personal tragedy, out came this wonderful non-profit organization. And so now she sells sanitary products and all sorts of sustainable, eco-friendly products. And all the profits go into helping to alleviate period poverty. And so by sharing her story, she did make me cry a few times, but she's an incredible woman, Dr. Zareen. But what we did was, by interviewing her, sharing her story, sharing, day 1, and then a couple of days later, sharing day 2, but all the time reminding people why we were sharing her story, why she was doing what she was doing. And ultimately, it was to create a bit of buzz, bit of excitement, bit of FOMO, bit of awareness about period poverty, and also, more importantly, to raise money for her event, which was called Red Rebel Day. Now, I call this pre-FOMO because this interview was delivered 2 weeks before the fundraiser. And so what she did amazingly was she actually had a whole team of people on Red Rebel Day, and it was a 24-hour event. And so her whole host of volunteers would share content out onto the socials. And, think of it like a comic relief kind of event where every so often she would remind people why we were here, what we were doing, and how we could raise money for the event as well. And so can't quite remember the exact figure, but I do know that it was definitely in the thousands, which was incredible. But because of this huge collaborative effort, the interviews was, you know, a small part of it, but also with all these influencers and these volunteers helping towards the fundraiser, it really helped to raise awareness about what period poverty is, and with your donations where it was going to go towards. So it was something I was extremely proud of. Now, another thing that I'm extremely proud of is this next fundraiser. And with this interview was actually done after the event. But when I interviewed Natalie Pithers, she did a lot of, I'll bring this screen up to showcase what she did. BTS. No, I don't mean this K-pop sensation. I never stop. I never get bored of cracking that joke. BTS, not this global K-pop sensation. I mean behind the scenes. And we've got a couple of more comments here. One from my fabulous brother. He says, thanks for the shout out. You're very welcome, Mark. Always a pleasure. And Tim was also mentioning how there is real power in video clips, and you're absolutely right about that. Now, the fabulous Natalie Pithers, she did an incredible 24-hour event. It was just shortly after the invasion of Ukraine, and Natalie Pithers is a genealogist, so she actually helps people who want to trace their family history, and she has a wonderful membership that helps to do that. But in with the invasion of Ukraine, she felt like she wanted to do something. And like all good ideas, she was in the shower and then she thought, oh my goodness, I've got this great idea. And so she decided to also do a very similar thing, like a 24-hour event where we could raise money for the Red Cross. And so the whole interview, you can actually see if you were to type in bit.ly / fundraising FOMO, you'll be able to see the full interview between Natalie and myself, where we talk about the things that she did pre-FOMO, the things that she did live FOMO, and the things that she did post-FOMO as well. And if you want a bit of help in tracing your ancestry, then do go to genealogystories.co.uk. But what Natalie did was absolutely amazing, because I mentioned BTS because she did a lot of BTS. She did a lot of behind the scenes. As she had this idea, and then it was implemented within 2 weeks. And so she decided to go in Facebook through video. And, you know, we mentioned this in last week's show that, you know, a lot of people are a little bit scared of doing video. But what was empowering about Natalie was that she got over her fear and thought, well, no, I want to help the Ukraine effort. And so she made it less about her and more about the what she wanted to do. So she actually went in live, Facebook Live every day for 2 weeks to update people and let people know where she needed help. And she had this idea that she was going to have a 24-hour event of historians and authors sharing 15-20 minutes about their book, A Moment in History, and so with the 24-hour event, she was going to create clips where if you enjoyed that part of history by that particular historian, here's where you can donate. And so by going in every day, she was keeping people updated of which new historian had decided to come on board. And there were some incredible authors that came on board as well, some high profile high TV profile celebrities as well that came on and took part, and they also wanted to contribute. And so, as she was updating people every day of who has come on board, where she needed help, who was helping out, the and also letting people know that they can also donate as well. An incredible £13,000 was raised in that 2 weeks. So just by showcasing behind the scenes of what was really happening and updating people of what was going on, she was growing the community growing it bigger and bigger, so that when it came to the big day, I was only able to live tweet for 8 hours, so that was my contribution to the event. But there were other people live tweeting. There were other people who went on Instagram as well, and as a result of the live FOMO in conjunction with the pre-FOMO, an incredible £52,000 was raised. So 32,000 was raised in 24 hours, and then the 13,000 a little bit before. I didn't do my maths correctly. You get the gist. So it was raised in 2 weeks, and then 30,000 was raised in 24 hours. And Rose was just saying that this is a great idea on a moment in history for a benefit for Ukraine. It really was, Rose. And during that interview, she also went into, some of the things that she'd learned. If she was going to do it again, what kind of things would she do differently? And it was an incredible interview. So, do go and check out that interview if you can, to get more ideas on, if you've got a charity fundraiser, the kind of things that you can do. The greatest thing, the most humble thing that Natalie was to say at the end of the interview was that, I'm just an ordinary person, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. I think she was selling herself short there, but what she did was absolutely phenomenal. But during the interview, there were still people donating at the time when I'd interviewed her as well, which was fantastic. So we talked about fundraising for doing interviews for fundraising, which is really powerful. What about conferences and events? Well, that's what I am known for. And so again, pre-FOMO, this is before the event. What do we need? Why are interviews so powerful? Well, I actually talked a little bit about this in last week's show. So if you've missed that one on how you can create FOMO for online conferences, do go and check that out. But here's just a few interviews that I did for conferences in the last couple of years as well. And so the whole idea behind doing interviews and lead up to the event is to gain a little bit of an insight, because there will be people who are sitting on the fence thinking, oh, I wonder if this event is for me. Should I go to this conference or should I not? And so by interviewing speakers, by interviewing the event organizer, by interviewing sponsors or partners to the event, what you're allowing people to do is, again, letting people in and giving people more of an insight into what to expect. So the series of interviews that I did at the top there was for Inner Rebel 2022. So last year, Advita Patel held an amazing conference in Manchester. And so I interviewed her about it was about comms and being more having more diverse voices in the comms world. And so we had a range of partners and speakers that we interviewed. And of course, the whole the whole premise of that is not just to let people in and let people know what they're doing, but also, at a conference, sometimes it can be really daunting for people. So if you showcase some of the speakers and showcase some of the attendees, you can do that better via an interview as well, then it means that for people who are a little bit shy, who are introverts, at least when they go to the event, they'll see a friendly face, and hopefully they won't feel too shy to approach them. So, oh hi, hello, and so on. And that, that's a whole idea about doing the interviews. And I did another series of interviews for another conference. This is for an online conference called Diversity in PR. And again, it was the fabulous Avita and with her business partner, Priya Bates. And so we interviewed a whole range of people there. So we've got Mark Webb in the middle, who is a disability champion, and then some other people over on the right there. Jefferson and Kate, I think it was, talking about diversity and how we can be more inclusive in the PR world. So, when you interview in the lead up to a conference, it helps you to, help the people who are sitting on the fence as to, and think about, is this a conference for me? And so, all the speakers and all the partners, they shared a little bit, not everything, because, they want to give people FOMO, right? But they shared a little insight into what they were going to speak about on that day and what to expect. And also, ultimately with the speakers and certainly the partners, they do want you to contact them for more information. So it's also a great publicity piece for them as well. So it gives them a bit more publicity, it gives the event more publicity, and for the lurkers, it gives them a bit more information and gives them, helps them to make an informed decision as to whether they want to invest in themselves or not. So we've got another comment here from my fabulous brother, Mark. I've just been interviewed on a podcast talking about how I got involved in cycling and my cycling business, Rena Cycling, and my brand, Velotool. If anyone wants to listen, we'll be out tomorrow on the Velodrome podcast. Oh, that's exciting. I've been looking forward to that. Do share the link with me tomorrow, Mark. That'll be great. Thank you for sharing that. So let's go on to the next bit, shall we? Interviews can be used for conferences. You can use for charity fundraisers. You can actually use it as a prize. And so for a couple of my clients, that's what they've done. So for networking events, for digital challenges, as a prize for taking part or whatever the requirements are, one of the prizes is an interview. Now, who doesn't love prizes? Okay, people love prizes, and especially if they're going to gain a little bit of publicity for themselves. Isn't that a Brucey bonus? So these are a couple of my clients. We have the fabulous Sarah Clay, who for a couple of years ran an online networking space called the Linking Out Club, and as part of her networking, she had a prize. So, and the prize was to be interviewed by me, and it gave the interviewees a bit of publicity for their business, which is great. So the whole idea behind that was we had a networking event, we had a speaker, we asked the participants what were their biggest takeaways from the speaker that they've just learned from, and so we incorporated that into the interviews. And another one of my clients, Shelley Hutchinson, she has a LinkedIn Leads on Tap challenge that happens twice a year, and one of the prizes is an interview with me. And again, it gives people a bit of publicity for their business. They want to learn a bit more about LinkedIn, which is why they went on the challenge. But by being interviewed by someone, it actually gives you, the interviewee, an air of authority. You're being asked questions about your area of expertise. So, suddenly people will stop and listen. So if you are invited on a podcast, just like my brother, then suddenly that gives an air of authority to my brother. And, he's very experienced in the world of cycling. And so why wouldn't you listen? So, this is why interviews are really, really great, as a prize for a challenge, because first of all, it gives you a bit of publicity, but it's also a reward for people who are taking part in the digital challenge as well. So we've talked about doing interviews for charity fundraising, doing interviews before a conference to try and sell tickets. And one thing I forgot to mention actually is that with the interviews that I've done, with all the interviews that I've done, there's always a call to action at the end. Or there is a QR code throughout the whole interview as well. So people can, if they want to continue to learn more about you and the interviewee, then they can certainly get in touch. Now, I've talked a lot about pre-FOMO. What about liveFOMO then? So liveFOMO interviews are really extremely powerful, and this is something that I really love doing for my clients, and is a great way to really generate that buzz and excitement at your conference. So I've done lots of interviews over the years. I've done it for digital marketing conferences. I've done it for networking events. I've done it for award ceremonies. And these are just a handful of interviews, which I actually recorded on my phone, uploaded it onto my own Instagram accounts, and also put them onto TikTok as well. So this is just a collection of them. Now, why are live interviews important? Well, because it captures the moment. It is live. It is from my phone. It is not polished. So if there's any bloopers in there, that's absolutely fine as well. But what it really does is captures the moment of the event. So how did the attendee feel? What were their biggest learnings from the conference? Would they recommend the conference to anybody else? Now, remember right at the start when I asked you, have you been to a conference where a videographer has come up to you and said, would you like to give us a testimonial? And most people, start to think, oh, is that the time? They get a little bit nervous. However, if you ask them, would you like a bit of publicity for your business? Then suddenly there's something in it for them, right? And so, by interviewing people and giving them publicity, you're doing lots of things. First of all, the person being interviewed is going to be excited because they're going to get a bit of publicity. Second of all, the lurkers are going to be looking at the interviews and they'll think, that person looks like me. They're also a business owner. Maybe I should check out this conference. So the impact of doing interviews is actually twofold. One for the interviewee, but also for the lurker, the person who is sitting on the fence as to whether they should have gone or not. But also the conference organizer as well. The conference organizer, they want people to, they want the world to know how amazing their event is. And so by capturing that buzz, that excitement, the whole atmosphere of that interview, in that interview is really, really powerful. And so if I just bring up this screen again, over on the far right there, you can see there's a lovely lady with blonde hair, and myself, and I'm interviewing her. That's Nicola Peake. And when we spoke, she saw me speak at Be Inspired. I was the closing keynote there earlier this year, and I talked about FOMO. Of course, I did. And then we had a bit of a chat about her networking event, and so she said, "Okay, well, why don't you create FOMO for me?" And so part of the content that I created for her were interviews from attendees, from members, because she has a membership, and from VIPs as well, from exhibitors as well, and so I created lots of content for her on the day. So what impact did liveFOMO have? Well, going back to Nicola, you can see all the interviews on her Instagram grid, and I created 44 pieces of content for her that day. It was a mixture of interviews, it was a mixture of capturing what the speakers were saying in a full-blown Instagram post, and I also uploaded them onto her Instagram stories. And because her Instagram is linked to her Facebook, the 44 pieces of content were also shared onto her Facebook. So I basically broke the internet for her on that day. Now, what was absolutely wonderful and unexpected was that immediately after the interviews that I did for her, as well as the other pieces of content, she actually wrote this fabulous testimonial for me, which was actually written on her Instagram post, Instagram grid. The last thing she said was, "Do you host amazing events and the socials don't do it justice? Then you need to bookmaking for your next one," which was ever so lovely of her to say. So the power of interviews is, it cannot be understated, because live interviews, you're capturing the moment, you're capturing the fun, you are asking lots of great questions from about the day, and also you're giving a bit of free publicity for the interviewee as well. Now, we're coming to the end of the broadcast. There's just one final question that I did want to ask. For you to think about, which is interview prereqs. What are the prerequisites in having a great interviewer? Well, you need someone to be dedicated to do it, first of all. Okay. Nicola, she hired me because there was no way that she could do it. You need someone dedicated to do just that. You need a working mic. Now I'm laughing my head off because earlier this year I did an event and the mic wasn't working, and I thought I'd checked it out and I hadn't, and I was absolutely mortified. The client is still talking to me though, fortunately. Good lighting is so important, and a journalistic background is really important, because you need to be able to listen to the person and also ask the right questions, and also put the interviewees at ease, because with the interviews that I've done, especially with the prize winners that I talked about in the digital challenges, some of them have never been on video before and they're really, really worried. So a lot of my time is preparing them for the interview and making sure that they are, that they are calm, because they know a lot about their business. They're just worried about that big red record button, right? Which you don't need to be worried about, but you need someone who is able to put that person at ease. And even on site, when I've been to conferences, a lot of these conferences, people haven't been interviewed before and they're really nervous, so I'm able to talk to them. And so if you are going to interview people, you also need to put them at ease as well. You need to be able to figure out, how long the interview should be, and also when to stop the interview. I've been interviewing for many years, and there is a skill to be able to clip it into a minute or clip it into 3 minutes, however long your interview is going to be. And also when you're doing interviews, always having a call to action at the end, or as I mentioned, having a QR code throughout the interview if you're doing a pre-recorded one. So, we have another comment here from Lance. We need a cup of tea soon. I would like that. I would like that very much, Lance. Lovely to see you here. So, I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. If you've got any questions at all about how you can create FOMO using the power of interviews for your next event, your next digital challenge, your next charity fundraiser, then do connect on. I'm on all the socials as FOMO Creator. You can slide into my DMs. Or you can go to FOMOcreator.social/20min FOMO. And up there, there'll be a calendar of if you can select the ideal date and time that you would like to have a chat with me, and then I'll marry that up with my calendar to see if that's suitable or not. But I will definitely be in touch. So I think that leaves me to say, as I push these buttons, or don't push these buttons. um, I just want to thank you for being here. I am your host, Making Sound, First Name Making. This has been the FOMO Creator Show. And if you would like a jazzy filled video of end credits like the one that I'm going to show you, Tim Lewis. So roll the credits, Tim.